Good evening, everyone. We are back. We're glad to have you guys. We want to really get it started back up. I know a lot of people currently are in the process of working on your credit goals, and you know how life goes. A lot of times, what I'm seeing right now, a lot of people is dealing with credit card debt. They got behind, and now some people have let certain items default. So today we are going to talk about increasing your credit score. So as you come in, if you can, please drop where you're coming in from. We're so glad to have you. And Diamond is here with us today. Diamond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome back. We are so excited to be back live this Saturday. If you guys see me looking around, I am on admin duties. So please let us know where you are coming in from. We have from New Hampshire, from Mississippi, New York City. We have from Brooklyn. Thank you guys so much, ATL, but from Be More. Thank you all so much for coming in, and we very much miss you all. So tonight we are talking about strategies from how to go from bad credit to being approved, how to repair your credit fast, and some things that are going on today. We'll be talking about current news and everything that you need to know to have a full strategy for yourself, for your family, so that you can reach your goals for this year. So we are halfway through the year, and we want to make sure that everything that you said in January that you are going to be reaching before December. So thank you guys for coming in, and welcome in.
Welcome, welcome. And Diamond, do you have the links for them? If you can, we're going to drop the links, and I respect your time. So we're going to get started. So anybody that's catching this later on, you don't have to wait long. So one of the first place that you want to start when you're fixing your credit is to know what is your individual issue. So when you talking about sometimes either fixing your credit or even increasing your credit score, you must take it from a personal situation. Because I actually sat down with somebody in our group. They booked a consultation, and this particular person, they actually had nothing negative on their credit score whatsoever. They were facing credit challenges simply because of utilization. So it looked like their score was low, but honestly, all they had to do is pay off particular credit cards. And they really honestly had over a 700 credit score. So in every case, it's a case by case basis. So if you're just thinking that your cousin told them they went to somebody and they were able to increase their credit fast, they might be like this particular person who actually didn't have any late payments, really a really good credit score. They just didn't understand it was just only the utilization that was holding their credit score down. So it can be the same thing with you. It might be something very simple, just adjusting some of your numbers on your utilization, or you may be having other challenges, such as if you had a bankruptcy in the past, if you got collections, charge offs. There's different ways that you may need to attack that. And many people, once they have troubled credit and they have consistent problems, they'll let go of their credit cards. And your main problem may be you simply don't have any unsecured lines of credit. Utilization is 30% of your credit score. So if you don't have any open credit lines, that could be a reason why your credit is low. So you need to find out what is your individual situation. And with our elite credit system, one of the things it does with the AR software, it does make it streamlined and simple, because once you connect, pretty much it will let you know what your issues are, whether it's negative items Or if you have too much utilization, we have something with smart credit called Score Boost, and it'll actually tell you how much you need to pay on your individual credit card, and it'll tell you how many points you'll receive by the date that you need to pay it by, and when you will see the increase on your credit score. It'll tell you and give you that information. But one thing you need to know, you need to, number one, know your own issue. So that's where you want to start. So once you know what issues you have on your credit, it's going to be in one of these five categories, or maybe multiple of these five categories. And the biggest chunk of what is judging your credit score is payment history, how you paid your bills in the past. That's 35%. And utilization, debt to available credit. And that is going to be with credit lines. How much debt do you have? Or they'll say how much of a balance that you are using with your available line of credit. So with your credit cards, how much of a balance do you have? And how much of a percentage is that actually going over that 30% mark? Because once you go over 30%, you're going to start to see your credit score really start to decrease. And if you have a credit card that is especially in the 60s and up, you're going to see a significant decrease in your credit score. And God forbid, if you are like 90% and up, you're going to really see your credit score tank. So utilization is 30%. And then you have age of credit, which is how old is your credit card lines, like your revolving lines of credit, how much age. And so that's going to be 15%. And then 10% is mix of credit, different types of credit accounts. So a mortgage along with a credit card, and they want to see various mix that you have responsibility in various types of areas. That's 10%. And inquiries, meaning are you searching for credit? So anytime you're doing a hard pull, you can decrease your credit score for 3 to 5 points. But one of the main areas, if you're under a 700 credit score, if you really focus on payment history and utilization, payment history is 35% and utilization is 30. That is the biggest chunk of your credit score. You can really start to see your credit score significantly increase. And that's going to go with people also who's over that 700 credit score. But what's really important to you, if you're over a 700 credit score, is age of credit becomes really important too. So you're going to have those three categories of payment history, utilization, and age of credit you want to really focus on. So if you're over that 700 credit score, any new credit card line you may add on or new account, you can see a significant drop in your credit score because age of credit becomes important. So you want to know in these categories what's going on with your credit report, what is pretty much causing you to have a lower credit score. And then you can adjust if it's payment history. If you had bad payment history in the past, we might possibly find ways to add on positive payment history. Like you can add that on with rent reporter accounts. They may backdate if you've been living in that unit or in the house for a long period of time. Things like rental karma, they can go back to 20 years and more if you've been living in that same place, and they can report your ongoing payment. So with that, if you have a lot of late payments, this can help you balance that payment history a little bit. It's not going to be a 100%, but it can make up to add more payments to get your score higher. If it's utilization, a lot of people are struggling with credit card debts, really figuring out a way on how to bring that down. I have seen some people who, on one particular card, have all their utilization, and they may have a few other credit cards with open lines. You may want to shift that around. So if you can shift that debt around by either doing a balance transfer, that can help even out that utilization and get down to below 30%. But you really want to make sure that you're focusing on your problem area once you took step number one and really know what is causing your credit score to be lower. So that's the second place that you really want to start. And then the third and last place is you want to take action. You just can't, have a hope and a prayer that my my score is going to go up. You want to have an action plan, and you want to have a strategy on how you're going to take care of these items. And so you want to start to implement some things to help you pad and increase your credit score. So credit is just like you going back in high school. You knew you had English, math, and also science. These are three major parts of your GPA. And then you might have an elective and gym. They might be just very small parts of your GPA, and that will be that age, that would be that mix of credit and those inquiries where yeah, if you're not dressing for gym, and if you flunk out, you can see your score go down, or your GPA go down significantly, but you might can still edge it out. You may not just stay back because of that, but you already know if you're messing up in math, if you're failing in science or failing in English, that can really implicate you not going on to the next level and the next grade. It's the same thing with your credit score, payment history, age of credit, no, payment history, utilization, and age of credit. If just like if you're failing a math, you may get extra credit with the teacher by doing another project or taking a test to help bump up your score. You can do that also with your credit score. If you have late payment history, as I said, you might want to add a trade line like rent reporters, or you may even want to piggyback off of someone else a credit, and that's just being an authorized user. You can also help increase your credit score if you're under a 700 credit score by adding on another credit card. You can see an increase in your credit score on average about 50 points. So once you determine what is wrong with your credit score, then you want to take that third step altogether to take action, because nothing is going to change if you don't take action. So you don't have to just live with imperfect credit. Of course, everybody is going to have some hiccups on their credit, but it doesn't mean that you need to be trapped out of life, because we all know credit is so important nowadays. You can't get some jobs if your credit score is really low. You can't get housing. People can't go to school and even get employment if you have low credit scores. And it's looking like with the forecast of things that's going on, with the cost of living, the cost of inflation, you may want to really think about now. You can't outwork this inflation. It is better for you the way that they keep looking at, even with the big beautiful bill and all of this, they're adding on more debt. So with the interest rates remaining really high, and if they add more money in the system, more debt, that's going to make it really hard for people to borrow from the bank, because with the interest rates being higher, that means the cost of borrowing money is higher, and they're going to be very selective to who they're giving loans to for homes, cars. They're going to tighten up unless the Fed drop those interest rates. But if that's the case, banks are going to be very selective about who they pick to get credit. And you don't want to be stuck in that situation, because it is so much better for you and quicker for you to borrow $50,000 than to try to work and save it at this time. So the focus for everyone, you don't just like, I need that 850 credit score. No, try to clean up your credit to get over that 700 credit score and leverage your credit to help reduce your costs or to make money. Try to get an asset. And I'm working on a video this week on ways on how you can make money in your sleep, because I know people are overwhelmed, and it's like you got your family, you really don't have a whole lot of time, a lot of people, but you do need extra income, because most of you guys just didn't wake up and say, hey, I didn't want to pay my bills. um a loved one got sick. I hear a lot of that in the group. A loved one got sick, everything, people are really having challenges, a job loss. I never met a person in all my years I've been doing this just said, hey, I just woke up one day and I just said, F it all, just let it go. No, if they did take that, they lost a loved one, they went through depression, they really couldn't do it, went through a divorce, you know, life, so now is the time for you guys to take advantage of this opportunity to leverage your credit, because what's coming up possibly in 2026, it looks like they move in to a cashless society, far as a start, where you're seeing really that transition. And it may get harder in order to access credit. So, and I'm not trying to fear monger, but if you look at the moves of like the video did, you know, is cash going away? Pretty much, yeah. They want now, gold. Like even the states like Texas, Louisiana, Florida, they're setting up where you can use gold. They want you to deposit gold, and you can buy, hamburgers. They're talking about making purchases. So it is a shift. Okay. And even the banks are trying to get a joint cryptocurrency that they can use together. And so if you're a person, all you have is sitting on cash and don't really have any assets, it's just going to be a constant spiral, because everything is going up except for your paycheck. And so it is time to see how, if you're wise, to leverage your credit to make money, or either to, when they start kind of printing, to try to have an asset at least that is going up in value. So me and Diamond, she's going to highlight. I want to take your questions. We're going to open the space if anybody need to come up and you want to ask questions so I can help assist. We're going to open up the floor and take your questions. Diamond, if you want to come up so we can give them some solutions if they're really having issues.
Yes, so I'm going to go with Curtis Johnson. Good evening, Mrs. Beckley. Is there a company that can get rid of your inquiries? My vision is very bad and I am blind in one eye, so I wanted to use a good company to handle that for me.
Okay. You can find a credit repair company if you only have inquiries only. You can search them out to do that work for you. The only thing with your inquiries, just make sure that you know what inquiries are there. If somebody can work with you, if your site is not there just to look at your credit report, because what happened, I have seen in the past, people might only have inquiries and they'll be like working with a credit repair company for like a year, and inquiries only stay on for 2 years. So you're just paying and paying. And I have seen people like, oh, they did such a wonderful job. The inquiry just was time for it to fall off. So you don't want to just be paying for that service if it's really not anything that you need. Now, if you have a ton of inquiries because of possibly identity theft, then that's a totally different situation. You can probably get that off quicker, but you probably, in your case, you want to work with a credit repair company.
So we have TT who asks, if I purchase an EV, but I'm assuming maybe that's an RV. If I purchase an RV to use for deliveries, can I use this as a tax credit?
No, she's saying electric vehicle,
Oh,
EV.
wait, oh, my bad.
Vehicle, yeah. Yeah, I'm quite sure. I don't know. I'll be honest, you want to talk to an accountant. Even with this bill, I think that was part of the fallout with Elon Musk, what was being alleged by Donald Trump. I don't know if I think they're going to take some of those tax credits away for EVs. So electric vehicles, I think that's what I know, like under the Biden administration, and a lot of times with Democrats, they are about the climate. So I would kind of talk to an accountant. I don't know what's in the bill, but one of the things that they're saying is going to remove those EV credits. So I think, honestly, they wanted to add a tax on buying EVs, is another part, like to raise money for some of the cuts that they're cutting, that they want to add like a tax on when you buy an EV. So I would talk to an accountant. Oh, your mic is muted, Diamond.
I'm not 100% sure if this is a question or just a statement.
Mhm.
I'm going to read your book about getting rid of collections. I have 3 total, about $1,600. The collection agency keeps passing the debt to another agency. Do you have any advice on this type of situation?
Well, number one, you want to look at the type of debt it is. So if it is a medical collection, right now, it is a transition. It went to court. Well, it was where it was passed that medical collections was no longer going to be on your credit report, but some groups took that to court with a lawsuit, and some consumer protection groups have challenged that, or trying to challenge it, but the CFPB done took a knee on that, and they're saying they want to roll that back. So number one, find out what type of collection. I believe if it's under still that $500 mark, it will not show up on your credit report if it's a medical collection. But for those things above, right now, the judge gave it 90 days before that he would review that. So I suggest to anybody, if you have a medical bill somewhere with your medical company, not with the collection company, you might want to bring that down under that $500 mark, just in case this pop off. And I'm going to do a video on some other things that's going on that you guys really need to be aware on in conjunction of that. So if it's a medical bill, it right now shouldn't be reporting. But if that $1,600 is for a consumer, meaning a credit card or something not involved in medical, for both situations, you want to send a debt validation letter to the collection company, because they need to validate that debt. They have to show proof. They have a legal right to collect on that debt, because if they bought it, they have to show title. How, where do they have a legal right to collect on it? And did they even buy it? So that's going to be one of your steps. Also, like I said, just watch out with those medical bills. If it's medical, it and I don't think it completely actually went through. A lot of people, their medical bills went off, but because if it was passed a little earlier, it would have solidified for over, I think, 60 days. But because it was January 7th, um, they were able to intervene with this administration to have it reviewed, and then other companies. So those debts over that $500 mark may be coming back. So I'm saying, if y'all have medical debts, with not with the collection, I wouldn't pay them. You make them do a debt validation. But if it's still with the medical company, I would pay it down. Also, reach out to them if you guys got medical collections or any kind of collections, a toll collection, any kind of collection, because these collection companies will lie on you. I had one. We had to handle one the other day. I had to send out a debt validation letter. Call the company. We didn't even owe it. It's this toll thing. I don't know what the heck. It's Penn Credit keeps doing this, and they're lying. So if you would pay one of these companies, then they have the legal right now to report that for 7 years on your credit report. So be very careful with that. But that's the way I would handle that with the collection.
So Evelyn did clarify, and she said that it was a payday loan. And somewhere in
Okay.
here, she said it was for $315 from a payday loan. Would that be the same process of everything that you just said? Just to
I would
clarify.
still send a debt validation letter with the payday loan. I would demand that they send the original contract. So do the debt validation letter.
So Kelly said that I'm in the process of rebuilding my credit. I ran into cash flow issues. Now these credit cards are out of hand. There are 2 credit cards that are going up to 30% interest, and I'm debating consolidating the debt or filing for bankruptcy. Do you have any
Prob-
advice?
yeah, probably the best way is to consolidate the debt if you can get a personal loan. Possibly if you can pay it down. One of my elite credit system members, he's been using velocity banking as one of those suggestions that I gave him. I won't go into the whole principle here, but you can just Google or look at here up to YouTube the steps of velocity banking. It's pretty much kind of running uh things through your credit card. I'll have to dedicate a video to it, because the way, if those that know about velocity banking, they understand the principle. But for me to try to explain it to everybody here, it will probably overwhelm you guys if it's not for that. But yeah, bankruptcy I wouldn't want to do, because bankruptcy can stay on your credit report for 10 years. And then if you're looking to get business credit, if that's on there, a lot of banks are not going to touch you for business credit with a 10-foot pole with that bankruptcy. So I would try to see if I can get a personal loan. If now not, you can always do the snowball and or the avalanche way of attacking and trying to pay down aggressively the highest interest credit cards first, and pay the minimum for the other credit cards to try to bring that down. But make sure you're not putting any new charges on that card, and look up how velocity banking work. And that might be a way to resolve, help pay that much faster down. Velocity banking. So you can look at, it's a lot of people that talk about that strategy on YouTube. But like I said, they even have the examples for me to explain it to you guys. If you don't know, for you to understand it, it'll be better if I make a video and give the examples of velocity banking. But you can check into that too if you're comfortable with that. Is the principle with velocity banking, you guys, is throwing all your income, on that credit card and use that credit card pretty much for your everyday life, because credit card debt is going on a daily balance. So that's the interest that they're charging you for whatever that balance is daily. So for instance, it might be charging you that balance that you carried over $50 a day. But by you throwing your income on that credit line and paying it down, then it might drop down daily to about $20 a day. And so you could pay off that debt faster and lower that interest. And so that extra cash flow that you would have been paying in interest, now you can really put that towards more of the principal of the debt to get it down where how you're paying it. And whatever you can pay with your credit card, there's certain things you might not can pay with your credit card. So you would put that in your bank account and pay it, like let's say your mortgage or your rent or your car payment. They won't take that with a credit card, but your car insurance you could. Your grocery shopping, all of those things you can pay with your credit card. And any new charges that you rack up, they do not carry interest. So you would just constantly pay that off. So you just throw your income back on that card, and those new charges that you put, you would be paying them off before the due date. So that would never actually have interest. So that I'm freelancing the principle, but so you guys understand what velocity banking is, that's pretty much how it works. But a lot of people, that, and it does work. Honestly and truthfully, it does work. But it's just people having confidence in doing that. Because a lot of people, it's like, oh, what if I have an emergency? Where you would have to use that, that credit card, in worst case scenario, a cash advance. But you don't really want to do that with credit cards. But if you have a Navy Federal credit card, they do have a way that you could pull money off of their credit card without like a cash advance. So it just depends on your banking relationships. Now, if you don't want to fully commit, you guys, to the velocity banking, if you throw that income on one of your cards and you balance it out right, once that card update with your balance, say if it's due on the 5th of the month, and it takes about 4 days for the credit card company to report that new balance on your credit report. So if it's on the 5th, it's going to report to the credit bureaus around the 9th of your new balance. So you throw your income on that credit card if you have one particular card or two particular cards. And once it updates, you can start using that card. Even if you max that card out, they wouldn't see it. But that might increase your credit score enough where now you can go and apply for a loan in that window of time, because the credit card company cannot update that balance until another 30 days. So if you don't want to commit with the velocity banking by taking that strategy, you might want to run and see, once your score shoot up, then try to go for that loan at that time. So it'll be frozen in that 30-day window, and you might can get approved for a loan. So, and then pay off the debt before it show up. So that's also a strategy.
So TK asks, what should your credit profile look like? What is an optimal credit profile?
Well, it one of the things with a optimum credit profile, what it look like, a lot of times it depends on your age too. So it's very rare you're going to see somebody at the age of 21 with a real estate account on there. But at a certain age bracket, the banks, if you want to get more borrowing, if you have real estate, then a lot of times you can get larger limits, okay, or larger loans. The reason why, the most of the time, if people don't own anything of value that the bank can see, like with LexisNexis, they know how much your home is worth. That's in the background. And so with the banks, they will lend someone who's a homeowner most of the times, maybe a lot more than a person who don't have a home. Because then if you ever default on that credit card, they pretty much know they have something to go after. So one of the things that you do want is real estate. That signals to the bank if you actually qualify for a home, um, you're Gucci with them. They know how strenuous that process is. So that's always a good sign. And one of the things is that the bank also know, um that says something about your mindset if you're investing in assets. Always remember, you guys, cars, credit cards, things of non-value are liabilities because a car depreciate. Oh, the bank will throw that. They trying to dump that on you like a hot potato. Try to go for a home loan. You gonna see that you'll almost lose your mind. Try to go for a loan. My first one, they almost drove me crazy. Okay, I was up there singing shackles. Okay, I take the shackles off my feet so I could dance. I just want to praise them. I had to go through a whole praise session because they will fight you tooth and nail for the real stuff. Okay, them cars, they'll give it to you. But you want to really see how the bank attitudes is, go for things of value. You're gonna really see fights there. You're gonna see knucking and bucking and ready to fight because what they understand, once they put a deed, a title in their name, in your name. A lot of people say, "Oh, the bank own my house." No, you own your house. That's why you don't get. That's why it's so strenuous. The bank don't, because unlike that car that you financing, until you pay that bad boy off, you ain't getting that title until you pay it off. That lease, you ain't got no title. With that home, once you sit at that closing table, that deed go in your name. That's why they gotta fight you with foreclosure to actually to take the property to sell, not really to own it. So that's one of the things you want your credit profile to look like, is to have real estate optimally. If you want real money from the bank, to look solid, aged credit lines, uh optimal like credit card lines that's older than 10 years old and up, but just bare minimum 2 years old, like credit lines, you're edging in there. And lines of credit, those credit card lines over about $5,000, a $5,000 credit limit and going up. That signals that it takes a long time generally for banks to bump you up like that. You can only like get credit card increases pretty much every six months, but banks only trust other banks. So if they see you have a large credit card line, they'll say, "Oh wow, another bank trusts them." That's why Navy Federal is so powerful. So when y'all say, "Oh, why everybody love Navy Federal?" Because a person, I have seen people with like lower credit scores, like 620, and they might get a $25,000 credit card from Navy Federal. And so then um you might go to another, let's say Discover, and they might either give you a larger, sometimes banks will meet that requirement or go beyond. So I'll say even with Chase, I got a $25,000 credit card for Navy Federal. And then I went to Chase, they gave me a $33,000 credit card because they might meet that and go over. So those are the types of things you want to be on your credit profile. No charge offs, no collections, and absolutely no bankruptcies. That, I mean, on the personal side, you can move around, but on the business side, no. there is very rare that business credit cards, bankruptcies is really, it's a bad deal, foreclosures, things like that. So those are the factors. And they want to see also that you have to consider not a thin credit profile, that you're managing at least about 6 credit card lines and up. So that's what I'm going to call more of a strong credit profile.
And I am going to kind of wrap up a few questions in this one. So the first question is, I guess the question is, what is the difference between a collection and a charge-off? And then we had a few questions in regards to charge-offs and asking, how do we deal with those?
Okay, a collection and a charge-off. A charge-off generally is first before collection. So a collection is an account that's been outstanding. Either you're behind on monthly payments and they wasn't able to collect on that and get, so this is your original creditor. Generally after 180 days, then they will move it over as a charge-off, meaning that that is written off. But it's not necessarily that they have sold that. If you have a charge off on your credit report and it still have a balance, it's with that company. That company haven't sold it. If that company has that charge off with a balance of 0, generally that means they're selling that debt. And then you will see maybe a collection of the full amount popping up on your credit report. And they cannot have, if you owe $5,000, they can't have the balance of that charge off at 5,000 and a balance of that collection at 5,000, because that's double dipping. That's like saying you got an outstanding $10,000 debt. So that you can dispute. But those are the difference between a charge off and a collection. A collection is a little easier to move off because that third party have to kind of prove they got a legal right to collect on a debt. Charge offs is going to be a little more resistant because you do kind of know that company, and it depends the type of debt. But the ways to help charge offs and negative items to come off of your credit report, you want to remove those old addresses and like any aliases names. You want to, that's very important to dispute off. And if you live in a whole new place from when that where you were living when you started that account, that's even better. So the way to try to deal with those charge-offs and charge-offs and those collections, you want to get those old addresses off and any names. So let's say for me, and a lot of people let this slide, say if it said Beckley Sherry, people just assume like, hey, that's good. Well, that is my name. They flipped it backwards. But there's people that got 2 first names like Smith Stevens, the Smith Steven, and then if you flip it, Stephen Smith, that's a whole different name. And people, so you want to remove that stuff off. So what you were going to do with those accounts, you dispute directly with the credit bureaus, but you want to also dispute those old addresses and names. That's how they know that it's you, because everybody has somebody in this world or in the United States with your same exact name. The reason they know the difference from me being Sherry Beckley and another one that might be in my state is those old addresses. And that's why they want to keep those on. That's how they try to attach that account to you versus somebody else with your same name. So hopefully that answers your question.
Just going based off of that, because we're talking about charge-offs, Jay the God 27 asks, if you get a credit card charged off report taking from your credit history, can you reapply for a credit card from that same company in that same year?
Possibly, if it's the one that I seen that might, it would be Capital One. We were talking about that today. They'll give you a second chance. Give me 1 second, Diamond. Hold on. Yeah, they will give you a second chance. Hold on one second.
Mhm. Guys, as you're coming in, please let us know any questions that you have in regards to collections, in regards to charge-offs, in regards to gold and silver. I've seen a couple of those questions, and we are going to circle back to those. I just want to try to streamline our questions so that they all make sense in the realm of the same topic. Good, Mom. Oh.
But most of the time, it companies like Navy Federal, companies like American Express or Chase, they will not. They want to would generally want to be paid. So you might can do a relationship with another company, but some companies is they're gonna want to be paid. So American Express is one of those companies. Generally, Navy Federal, you definitely going to have to pay them. They're not going to do it. Bankruptcy, they don't care what you did. They want their money, and you're going to see Chase a lot of times. So, or it's going to be years, sometimes 10 years. People still can't get back in. So it just depends on the company.
Speaking of bankruptcy, someone said, my bankruptcy is still pending for discharge. Any advice is greatly appreciated.
Um, it depends on what type of bankruptcy. If it's a chapter, if you're doing like chapter 13, you can get one particular credit card. That's Credit One Bank. That can help with an open and active like bankruptcy. But if it's a chapter 7 and it's about to be discharged quickly, you can probably get, besides Credit One Bank, other ones once it's discharged. But generally, banks don't want to give you credit with like with bankruptcies not discharged. So probably the best thing, like I said, is Credit One Bank. If you have an active and open one, like with a chapter 13, but maybe being added on as a authorized user to someone else's account and rent reporter accounts. So that would be that. If you're out of the discharge, you can start to try to work on a dispute against to remove the bankruptcy.
So we have Vanessa who asked the question, as a veteran, what type of credit must I have to get a home equity line of credit from Navy Federal? And can I use that money to buy another house?
Yeah, you can do that. I will call Navy Federal and find out, because most of them they do, or Avon too. Avon is another one, is AVEN. They might go like a 620. Because like I said, when you have collateral, like what I was saying earlier, the bank kind of know they got something to go after. But you can call Navy Federal. I will have to do my research on the home equity line of credit, on what the credit scores is, but they may work with it a little lower than what you think, with a lot of HELOC loans. But the only thing you have to look at, what is your what's going to be the interest rate on it, and find out what's the details, if they have some kind of closing cost for that. So you just want to work your numbers and look at it from there. But yes, you can pull that off and buy another home.
I would just want to greet everybody who is coming in. I see we have a couple of new people coming in. Please let us know where you are viewing us from, and please do share this live. And please, everyone that is here, like the live so that we can get this information out to more people. So we have another question from Cher, and she said, I'm using a consolidation company to help with my bills. They take out $445 every 2 weeks. How can I get rid of them faster?
With debt consolidation, it depends on what you sign with that contract. A lot of times I really don't. It's very rare I would even recommend them, because they tear down a lot of people credit and tell them not to pay, where you might have could just work that thing out yourself without really destroying your credit. So I would have to know more details, because we have some people in the group, and depending on what you signed up for, you have to find out what they negotiated for you with that other company. So that's that's a very unique one. And I saw someone that asked, what is a VA loan? If people don't know what a VA loan, those are for veterans who generally, that you have to be discharged, to did your time, and you had to, with that DD 214, have an honorable discharge, and you can get a VA loan, home loan. And they also have VA, you can get construction loans to build with a VA loan, but that's for veterans, and they give them zero money down, that you don't have to put money down. And generally, you can have higher debt to income with that, like 55%, which is pretty much really high to get a home loan. So I saw somebody ask, that's a VA loan, but it's for veterans. Well, we're going to wrap a couple more questions, and we're going to wrap it up, because I know tonight we will be back next week. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to submit them, even to our website. Also, if you need help, I do one-on-ones for those in my elite credit system group. Then they have the options if you guys really need help. But even if you have like more personal help, I do with the elite credit system. We have our meetings like today. We have it 1 p.m. Central Time. But by being in the elite credit system, we also have more data where I can look at your situation and also help you navigate more of a personal situation. But some of the things that everybody can kind of do, if you're under that 700 credit score, like I said, adding revolving lines of credit is a way to increase your credit score with 50 points on average. That can be a way to get you up to that 700 credit score without any negative, removing any negative items, as long as it's not hitting you late every month. But just make sure some of these collections, some of these charge-offs we're seeing now, they're dinging people every month with a CO, then that they're doing it on purpose to keep your score down. But if it's not reporting late every month, you can boost your score up by adding on credit cards, a line of credit. One, let a report see where your score is. So that is one. And adding on rent reporter accounts and trade lines, you can do that. But like I said, with the rent reporter accounts, it can help with past trouble payment history. Rental Karma is a good one. They do report to TransUnion and Equifax. But if you want one for R3, Boom is one of them. But you must, with Boom, have your rent coming out of your bank account. And I saw somebody say something with a pre-qualification for an Apple Card. Should you pay down your credit cards? Anytime you ever want to go for a credit card, everyone, you want to bring down your utilization if it's possible.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. We're going to take two more, and then we'll probably end up wrapping up. But as Sherry said, that we do have a longer period of time when we talk in our group coaching sessions. That is every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for everybody that is an Elite Credit System member. So if anyone in here is in the Elite Credit System and are used to coming into those group coaching, if you can testify to the amazing information that is in those group coachings, please do. So that would be a good time for you to come in and ask your questions and ask your personalized situations where Sherry can give you a good strategy for you specifically. So that is in the pinned comment. If you are over here on YouTube, which I believe everybody is viewing here from YouTube, if you just see the pinned message, you will be able to join the Elite Credit System. And I will also in a moment drop our how to boost your credit at gmail.com. That is going to be our email. If you have any questions and we didn't get to them tonight, as we said, we're going to take about two more questions and then we'll probably end up wrapping up. And we will be coming back every Saturday night around the same time to interact with everyone here.
And I did see a question. Someone said, how do I get a credit card balance transfer? You would just look for balance transfer credit cards. I think Citibank have one that you can pre-qualify for. So I will always look for soft pull pre-qualifications. I believe American Express, Citi, even Navy Federal have a balance transfer credit card. Also, I'm thinking PNC Bank, Truist have one, Bank of America, but just make sure that they have a pre-qualification so it can give you some kind of, just some kind of indication that you can get approved. It's only about like 90% like a rate, or 80% that they will, but it'll give you an indication that you're in their category of that product that they're looking for, that customer. So thank you. Lawrence. Hey, Lawrence, thank you for joining us. Long time no see. He's been a long time member. I miss you, Lawrence. And Miss Miller, thank you so much. I love Miss Miller. Miss Miller is here every Saturday. Yes, Lawrence, I long time no see. Love Miss Miller. I love Lawrence. Lawrence almost like family at this at this point. So Lawrence is also he's an awesome gentleman, and also Miss Miller, part of the group. Lawrence is like the belle of the ball. I think Lawrence came in, he was done like in 3 months, and Lawrence been in our system for over like 2 years, and just been excelling, got business credit, started like even got a vehicle for what his business is. And he's Lawrence really, he just really took off. And so all my members in the elite credit system, I love y'all to life. Especially like Miss Miller just come in and give value, and we just really have whatever questions, just more where we can go, and she always, we just really deep dive into things. So it is just not about credit, it's about just really strategies in life.
Mom, if you don't mind, I have 2 questions in mind. I just wanted to go to Brittany W., who is a new member of our elite credit system. I believe she might have joined the group coaching.
Brittany was there today. I believe Brittany.
Yes. So Brittany, we want to thank you for being a new member. And she had a question. I have the elite credit system and Credit Karma. Is it okay to dispute her inquiries through Credit Karma, or should she dispute through the
with the elite credit system? Brittany, because I know you were at work today. Diamond, drop the email. Brittany, email me immediately so you can have the steps on that, because you were there today, I think, for the first time, but you were at work and we discussed that. For you, it's particular steps in the system. We got to make sure that you're updated on that. So you do it through the elite credit system. Email me as soon as I'm off of this. I will give you the steps in the system to get those off. All right. So you should see everybody kind of know. You should see that really quickly to get those off.
And for our last question, as we're closing out, I just want to shift gears really quick because you've been talking more about gold and silver. And a lot of people have been asking, where is a trustworthy place do they buy gold and silver? And can you talk just a little bit more about why that may be important to do?
Well, the reason why we say gold and silver, I always use, and do I have my, no, I don't have my little, oh Lord, I don't have my gold and silver up in here. I usually do. But just imagine, you guys, the best example, we all have been, drinking, to the bar. And remember, if you get a little shot, it's more potent to have a shot. But if you go and you get a mixed drink and they're kind of just tapping on that liquor, just give you a little bit, and the rest they're putting water in there for the buzz that you would get off that shot, you would spend less money just drinking that shot because it's more concentrated of a dose of alcohol. But with the mixed drink, when they add ice and add other things to it, it dilutes the potency or even the amount of alcohol that's really into that drink. So it calls you to buy more drinks to get the same buzz that you would with the a more concentrated drink of having the shot. So imagine your money is the same way. Your money is a store of your economic value. So you're going to work 40 hours a week. You're saving your money in a bank account because you are storing your effort in that dollar. And what's going on? You're thinking that that dollar is going to be there as part of your savings and for your retirement, that down the line, if I got and I saved a million of these dollars over my work life, I should be able to retire and it be a store of my economic physical work. But what's going on, because this card is just paper and it is a medium of exchange, as long as it's one, it's more valuable. Even if it's 10, it's more valuable. But if they start flooding the system from going from this one to 20, 100, the less and less value is in this dollar or in this card. Same thing they're doing with your savings. You right now is storing your economical value in that dollar and you're putting it in the bank. But when they add more to the system, they are cutting your value in half. So that $1,000,000 is now actually 500,000 because once they print and they add more in the system, something like this that might have been $1, now because it's more of these, you need, just like that drink, more to buy more drinks to get the same potency. So this go from being $1 once they print, this might be now $2 for you to buy it. So is it with everything else around you. The prices go up. Food, clothes, housing, your rents went up. Homes went up, doubled in value. It's not that the homes are going up in value. It's not the food is going up in value. It's the purchasing power of your dollar going down. That's how they're playing in your face. They're rich. They own all the assets. So when they double the money supply, they get wealthier because this that they're selling you, I used to only make $1 off of this. Now it's $2. I own property and real estate. My property, before they start printing it in the pandemic, the one in particular was worth 349,000. After they start these rounds of printing, within 3 years, houses in that neighborhood is going for 954,000. A milli, as Lil Wayne said. For what? I ain't do nothing. I didn't do anything. I didn't even, you don't even have to remodeling to the property. And your value, I got wealthier for doing nothing. And that is what the rich is doing. That's one property for me. They own businesses, they own stocks, they own factories, they own the products they sell you. So they get wealthier. So when they're telling you, well, why is the rich during the pandemic got so much wealth? Yeah, because you printed more money in the system. That's why they got wealthier. You're making the value of their assets go up. That's why they're playing in your face. The way that you want to secure your savings is by getting things they can't just print out of the thin air for value. And that's silver and gold. That's silver and gold. They can't make it any more gold than silver. And one thing about silver, it's extremely undervalued. They're manipulating silver. All those EVs that they're talking about, all those solar panels, your cell phones, people talk about that. They need silver and they can't reuse it. Gold, pretty much, they put that to the side, but silver is a commercial. It's a commercial metal. They need that. So JP Morgan and Chase have been fined for manipulating the value of silver, and they're one of the biggest buyers because they're doing that on purpose to keep it down. Just like Warren Buffett, when he told y'all, like, and I had dispute, I was kept going back where people like, that was stupid. Why would you buy gold and silver? You can't eat it. If Florida telling me right now I could buy a burger, I could buy bread, I could, because that was always the game. You guys, they're playing these shells games with you. If gold and silver was not valuable, try to walk up to Fort Knox and see what happened. So just try to go and walk on the front door and tell them that gold ain't valuable, and see if you make it to the front of that, if gold ain't valuable. And so Warren Buffett was saying, who would invest in gold? Who would? Well, that's just stupid. Why he was buying a gold mine. See, they do that to y'all while they buy it up. And then what they are doing now, it used to be with gold and silver, if you cash in a certain amount, because the value is higher compared to the dollar, that they would give you you have to pay a certain tax, capital gains tax. But now they're turning it, as DeSantis said in that video I showed you, we're making it legal money again, which it should have been in the first place. But anywho, we're making it legal money again. So they've been buying it all, and now they don't have to pay taxes on it. So they done increased in value. Like on average, I think in 2019, gold was per ounce about $1,100 per ounce, and now it's like $3,600. So now we're going to remove that tax on it, and now boom, we just went up in wealth again. And now we could start now cashing in our silver and gold, and guess what? We ain't got to pay taxes on it, but you do. With those stocks, you cash those in, you pay capital gains tax, about what, 17, maybe up to like, I think what is 31, 35. I don't know. They keep changing the capital gains tax. I sell a real estate property, you pay capital gains. But now they have it on that gold and silver. They ain't gonna pay no capital gains. We making it money again. Make America great again. Make, I guess, gold and silver real money again. That's what they're doing. And like they said, the wealthy been doing that. They've been because they understand how the money system works. They conning everybody else. They've been gathering their stores of value. Economic value is silver and gold. That's why you'll see Warren Buffett in one of those meetings that he had, when they told him how much money that the company had. He said, what are you doing? Spend that. Go buy something. Because they understand that cash is trash. That's what he understands. Go and spend that and get something of value. Don't leave our money there. Go and buy something for real. So this is how they're going to Africa. And because the US dollar is the world currency, you take this piece of paper and you give me your diamonds and you give me your gold, like in Ghana and all of that. That's that they're playing in people's face. And then when it's all said and done, burn it down. Burn it down. We're not using the dollar anymore. That's over. Well, what are we going to pay you in? Tape. Pay me in tape. What? But pay your rent in tape. Whatever they dictate, because they own all the real resources. What you going to do? If you need food, you better go and get me some tape. If you want to eat, you want some water? Yeah, I said it's tape, because they're making sure they're controlling the resources. That's the game. Gold and the silver. It's always been good. Make sure you guys play the same thing. The Bible things still stand: gold, silver, cow, so on 1,000 hills, and land. If you got land, you can grow your own food. If you got cattle, you can live outside of they system. And if you got land, all you got to do is dig a well. It's water underneath you. That's the game. That's just the name to the game. That's the name to the game. That's why, if you want to know why the Great Depression wasn't as bad as it was, majority of the United States grew their own food. That's why. You ask my parents that most of the times those that were on land and they were farmers back in the day, they didn't have to use money that much because they grew their own food. They had their own land. Their homes was pretty much, if you're a farmer, you ain't paying much taxes. So you didn't have all that debt liability. So now they got people that don't know how to grow their own food, don't know how to preserve. You're not independent enough to survive on by yourself and feed yourself, and that's how they made it. That's how it made it. That's why they giving you those seeds. That's non-air seeds that you don't even know if you put it in the ground. Them seeds might not even work, might not even grow. You got to dry them out a certain way, or they're trying to. That's why they want to make fruit seedless. They don't want you to put it in the ground, and you ain't gonna put us out of business. Seedless what watermelons. I be darned. I want seeds in my watermelon. Okay. I want seeds because that's part of the game. They don't want to put seeds in the food because they don't want you to turn around and grow it for yourself. I mean, I'm just saying it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just what it is. That's why Bill Gates buying up all the farmland. That's why they doing trying to control you. That's all. That's all. So part of the silver and the gold is protecting yourself. Where you can buy it, you can buy it at Amex. Amex is what we call bullion. You can get it from bullion places, SD bullion. But I use, because I used to use them, but I use Quicksilver. The reason why I like Quicksilver, they just take a certain amount out of my account, and they just exchange my money for me into silver and gold that I dictate a certain amount. So if I set it for $500 they'll just send me $500 worth of what I said of gold and silver. So when it comes down to silver or gold, you can get small generic bars, but I would suggest with your silver, I don't do like generic rounds, and I try not to do generic bars. I'm gonna put these governments on the hook. I'll get the Canadian maple leafs, the American eagles, because it's a gold eagle, silver eagles, and maybe the Perth mint. That's like the British. Okay, so I don't get rounds like you'll see a lot of generic rounds. And y'all ain't gonna play in my face and give me some fake stuff, because China will give you some fake stuff. I don't buy from certain countries. I do not, because they can do that. But let America and them play in my face and one day and say it ain't, then you're gonna put them on the hook. But that's how I play the game. So you can buy from those sources, but also I will put in a link, Quicksilver, and it just make it so much easier for me. It just automatically switch it out. Do you have to put all your money in silver and gold? No, you just put in some. So say for me, when it was silver was like around $25. So when I started off $100, I'll just get 4 coins. That's it. And over time, you're storing your money. So as they print more money, you have a store of value. That's what it is. You're retaining your economic store of value, because what they're doing, if you're making $30 an hour right now, soon as they print, actually, they're paying you $15 an hour, because your purchasing price of what you can now purchase with that $30 an hour has been cut in half. Everything is about to go around you, up around you, your housing, and y'all all have seen it. Housing, just your rent, out of nowhere, 1 year, $300. We need $300. Like, what? How we need $300 more? How can you just do that? Because they put more dollars in the system, and that's it. You saw your food go up. Y'all saw car prices like homes, like during the pandemic, like cars was like 100,000. Like, what in the world is this? Be a Honda Civic, $50,000. When that happen? A Corolla, a Toyota Corolla, 80 G's. Like, what? What? $80,000 for a Corolla? Like, inflation. They put more money in the system, but that's what it was. So that's it, Diamond. You could come back up. Hopefully, if y'all need more information, I will. If people are really interested in silver and gold, some people, it's like it's very hard for them to grasp the concept. I don't know why though. It's like if you don't understand that gold is valuable, can I pull up to your house and take that off of your hands from you? Y'all know in your heart you ain't gonna give me or no silver. People play like that. I don't know what you talking about. You want to give me your gold? No. What? So in your heart, you know it's valuable. But if you're not careful, what they're trying to do is gather it all up for themselves. And that's why people who ran over to Costco, it ain't there no more. The people was buying it for Costco gold because they started, and they sold out immediately. Because those that are wealthy, no, that's what that's why you got the gold standard. You ever heard that term, the gold standard? Because that's what even the banks have. They store gold right underneath Wall Street. Y'all do know it's tons of gold right there. They have a storage of gold. So that is the real money. It's gold and silver. It's been through decades. But I'll tell you one thing that never lasted. That fiat currency backed by nothing. And there's not a country in this world that money is backed by anything. There's not one that ever survived. They all crashed. The US had a currency that didn't survive too. It's called the continental currency. It crashed. It did not survive. So I'm just telling you, it's going to happen. And you'll look like what happened in Zimbabwe and what happened in Germany. When they had to, even for dinner, you had to call in advance to ask for the price. They were bringing in wheelbarrows of money because inflation kept changing. So just look at that. Somebody said, which one do you buy more? Personally, I'm going towards the silver because now those are in the know. And just look it up. A lot of the wealthy, now everybody that really know the truth, they're buying up all the gold. They're going for the gold. Silver, to me, have one of the best opportunities at this moment in time. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to buy it because the gold and silver ratio, this has been the largest gap in history. There's always been like a closer ratio than what's going on towards the value. Like, let's say the ratio of every four silver coins can then be equal to a gold coin. That ratio now is the largest ratio that it has been in history. They're suppressing the value of silver because they need it for an industrial metal. That's what it is. It's needed. All this AI they talking about, all this technology, they need silver. They need silver. So if I had to choose out of the two, I would get the gold if I had a large sum of money, but for long term, like the silver is a real good. It's one hell of a value for the silver. I'll be honest with you. Silver, if y'all want the opportunity, like the sleeper, silver is what's up. Silver is it, and you might now can get in for like $40 at this time. But Diamond, when I was making y'all buy it, well, we paid like $14-15, and now it's like, I think now the spot price, because they make it go back and forth, like $30, but you can't buy it. When they say spot price, You have to go and see how much you can get it. They're never going to let you get it for that price. You got to pay more. They're going to put a premium on it. You might can go to your local coin shops and get a little bit cheaper. You might, but they're going to charge you over that spot price. It's like a car dealership. You know what they get it from the factory, like the dealers, you can never get that price where they'll say this is the MSRP price and this, but you're paying this. Yeah, that's you ain't gonna never get it for that price. So is gold and silver. You never get it for that spot price. You're gonna pay that over here. Yeah, that's how it goes. Oh, your Diamond, your mic is on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, yes, and if anyone, so I did leave the link. If anyone is interested in purchasing gold or silver, you can use Quicksilver, which is the company we've been using for years. They are a reputable company. I know there was some emails we got that were looking for legitimate places to purchase gold and
Yeah,
silver. So that is a
Quicksilver.
good one. Quicksilver.
And let me just say this one last thing, and I'm gonna land. The greatest opportunity is your credit. Beyond gold and silver, you ain't got to get your credit. Okay, your credit at this moment in time, that is the biggest. If you work that system, baby, you work that system. But y'all have to wake up. I'll be honest. I will say you're in the most blessed. If you in this nation, baby, it's a reason why people don't want to go. They smart. And what DJ Khaled said, you're smart. It's a reason why they don't want to go. Because I keep telling y'all, the dollar is the world currency. That's part of the weaponization of your country's power. If you are smart, all these other countries, majority of them, you can't use your name and just pull up and get a home. They have to work and save and their currency. And then if they want to trade out, they got to use your dollar. And most of their currencies it is not as equal to your dollar. I don't care if it's the euro. If they're trading, they got to convert over to the dollar. Your greatest asset is your name, baby. All I took, I was 19 when I had her. I had a multifamily. Uh, Bought the second one when I was 25, all by leveraging my name. That's it. If you got a good paying job, you need to get that good paying job, clean up your name. You can get a home. I went and got a cash flowing asset. It went up in value. And like I said, I did nothing. And I make money every month. I made money every month. I took that little 40,000 back then I was making. I gave the game in the house video. You go for a multifamily, you ain't got to even have that income. Just for you saying, I want to buy that multifamily, they'll assess those 2 units to your income without you owning it. So now you can afford it. And if you single, ready to mingle, how you going to get in the house and you don't have a spouse? How you going to get when they want 400 and something thousand? How you going to get there? Go for that multifamily. Go for that multi. I'll drop there. Diamond just dropped the house video on how to buy a new house. Y'all better leverage that FHA. If you're not a veteran, that 3% down. I got in my house cheaper than putting money down for an apartment. A lot of y'all is not the single families, it's the multi-units. That's what you're doing. Because now what you can do, either like the young lady said, get a HELOC loan, put it on your next home, or now I want to get my own single family home. I ain't never paid for a mortgage payment in my life out of my pocket. Somebody else paid my mortgage. Always. A unit is going to pay your mortgage. Either you sit there and you stack your money and you're living rent free. And then when you want to buy your own home, now when you go to get another mortgage, they're going to count that as income to you. along with whatever your job is. Now you're in a different category. And now you can qualify for this single family home over there, and that house is paying that mortgage for you. And you got two assets. But what I did is I didn't just get a single family. Let's get another three family. And that's how people do it. Now, it does get a ceiling now. They ain't gonna let you, they like, now hold on. I see you trying to hold up, you trying to work something. So about that two, you gonna have to get a little more creative. But at that time, now you got cash flow. You know what I'm saying? You got cash flow. You got money down. And so you flip different avenues on what you want to do. But you watch that house video. Buying land is a good opportunity. I don't know if y'all know, if you purchase land and you have land, you can leverage that for your mortgage. The bank will use the value of that land as a down payment, and you can get a construction loan to build on the land. So I broke that all down in the video. So when I'm telling y'all the real key, looking here and there, you better look right here. Let me get my credit and do what Sherry's saying. Let me leverage this job and now my credit, and let me get an asset. Ain't nowhere else that I know of in the world that you can move like that. And you better do it because you're running out of time. Running out of time. Silver and gold is great, but baby, do that. Just do a little of that, get you a little silver, but that credit is better. That credit. And actually, you can buy silver and gold off of credit. They do take credit cards. You get your credit, you got it all. You got it all. I paid off my credit card, and I get points through my American Express and my flights, because silver or gold, I just pay it on there on my credit cards and earn points. So they do. You get the credit together, you can get the silver and gold with the credit, honestly and truly. But that's it. And that's it. It's food for thought, people. It's just food for thought. Hey, if it don't apply, let it fly. Food for thought. That's all I'm saying.
TK asked if you had a video about purchasing land. I don't think that you do, but that might be something to consider.
A part of that is in that what you want to know about. Give me some details, an idea of what you want to know about land, because I can do a video about purchasing land. Land is something that you want to really look into, because you do have zoning, things like that, and you want to see if it's already utilities there, different things like that, because that can add into the value. Or you could, like I said, even in that video, if you got raw land, even getting a mobile, or what they call a manufactured or a prefab at home, they roll all of that up in like a car. You can qualify that for almost like a car loan, and they will in that actually put in the septic tank, and you might can even get the well if the water is not out there, depending on where you buying your land. And you can get all of that wrapped up into that loan. So it all depends on real estate, and real estate and period. Where you're buying is going to dictate the rules. If you're buying in New Jersey, it's going to cost you. It just, that's what it is. If you're buying in California, God forbid, the land thing going to be problematic. They got environmental credits. They got all kind of things going on over there. But the things from Jersey versus the South, most of the times you're going to have utilities already there. So you're going to have water and sewer that's there, and electrical. Maybe buying somewhere that is a little more, pretty much in the South. If it's not right in that city, you probably ain't going to have access to that. And you have to get those things put in yourself in order to build. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. And if you're trying to do a multifamily, what you're trying to build, you have to look at the zoning. Is it allowed there? So you just can't say, hey, I want to put a mobile here. A lot of places are moving away from mobiles unless it's being seeded. You know what I'm saying? So That's the only thing with land. It may take a little time, but if your family got land, buy it from them. That, I'm just saying, that could be a possibility. Buy land for them, or that's the only thing. You want to just do your due diligence on land. And you want to do your due diligence on everything, on real estate, period. If you're buying it, if you're buying a multifamily, please learn what the landlord tenant laws is. Learn what the landlord tenant laws is. So in all that getting, as the Bible said, get some understanding, get knowledge. It's the principal thing. Get knowledge. Get knowledge. You don't want to be hustling backwards. Please. I've been there, done that. Don't hustle backwards. So just, that's the only thing about land. That's any business, any investment. You need to know about that. Whatever you going into it, I don't care if I'm going to open an ice cream shop. You better learn as much as you can about ice cream in the market. That's just what it is, and how it is to run an ice cream business. All right. All right. Well, we're gonna go. I see Diamond Baby done stepped in.
Well, thank you guys so much. I know there's a lot of questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, but if you could please email us howtoboostyourcredit@gmail.com. And also, we will be here next weekend. And the best place that if you want a customizable strategy for your personal situation, please become an elite member. And that link is in the description. Well, not in the description box, excuse me, the pinned comment that is on YouTube here.
And it must be the time to go, because Cleo popped up and your sister done broke out of her room over the gate.
Boy.
She done pushed down the gate over the gate. And she done pushed, and they both at the door. They're twins. Her dog and my
flames.
Twin. What was that? The Hancock?
Yeah.
Together. It's like it's like destruction. When they come together, it'll be like boom. They just do stuff together. So yeah, it was time. All right, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for your patience and showing up for us. God bless, and good night.
Good night, everyone.